Welcome to the BD Sports Talk Podcast, here to give you the latest scoop of sports in the great city of Detroit and the great state of Michigan. This week, we discuss the future of this ever-popular podcast, the Lions winning on the Monday Night Football, recap of the college football weekend, and the weekly Tigers update. I am Bill, one of three hosts, along with the D and E of the BDE, Dean and Eddie. Fellas, good to see you. How was your weeks? Good?
It's good. It's good.
I mean, it's been a real good week, huh? We've had some good stuff happening.
Been great. Well, Let's get right into it. The weekly Tigers update. Weekly Tigers update is brought to you by the official sponsor of the BD Sports Talk Podcast, Adobo Boy.
I'm getting hungry.
Dean, Eddie, and myself, proud Filipino Americans, love a delicious Filipino meal, and Adobo Boy delivers just that with their amazing food and vibes that are unmatched in the food industry. Not only do they have delicious food, they also go against the grain of a traditional restaurant and tinker with their menu to bring you an amazing variety of Filipino cuisine. Their menu rotates weekly, so there's always a reason to come back to try more authentic Filipino food. Dean, what's that iconic Filipino dish that we love so much?
An icon of the food industry.
I had to sit up for this.
Red's pork adobo. Too late.
Fist from
he couldn't help himself.
All right. Well, I guess I'll just describe it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Tender pork braised in soy sauce and vinegar on a bed of rice with Jackie's achara, papaya salad, cucumber, and a fried egg. I eat everything separate as Ace recommends it, or you can mix it up like Bill and Ed both do. It's delicious either way. It's worth buying two.
Worth buying 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10 less.
Oh, so good.
You gotta save some for others.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Get what you can get while you can get it.
Yes.
True.
So if you're into trying new and different foods or just like some amazing adobo and vibes, stop in and say hi to owners Ace, Jackie, and son DJ Red, who are amazing people who genuinely care about your experience. Eddie, give the people what they want. That's all I got.
I'll give them what they want, baby. Because I don't have to give them what they want. Adobo Boy gives them what they want. I mean, they walk in the door, they're going to automatically know they're in the right spot because they're going to experience right away that it's a great place to be. The vibes are amazing. The smells are amazing. You're going to get up to the register. You're going to see the menu. You can't go wrong with what you're ordering because it's going to be amazing food. And then on top of that, you're going to get 5% off your total order just by saying BD Sports Talk Podcast. That's 5% off just for saying BD Sports Talk Podcast at the register. And you get that amazing food for 5% less. So you walk in, great vibes, great smells, excellent customer service. You say BD Sports Talk Podcast, get 5% off, and then you get to enjoy the food. What more could you ask for?
Not much. I love going and smelling the smells and getting that 5% off. And if you want that 5% off, you want that delicious adobo, you want those amazing vibes, Adobo Boy is open Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. for lunch and 5 to 7:30 for dinner. Saturday, same schedule, except that dinner is open until 8:30 p.m. They also can fluctuate their hours every once in a while, so go to their website or Facebook page, Adobo Boy GR. But you want to get there. If they're open until 8:30, get there early because you want to get it in case they run out because it is so good. Adobo Boy is located at 3740 28th Street, Southeast in Kentwood, Michigan, inside the amazing Myanmar restaurant. Amazing Myanmar, brunch and rice, Adobo Boy in the middle. Three really good restaurants. But Adobo Boy is where you want to go. So get there, get fed, get happy. It is always better at Adobo boy. Well, since 3 of us were together, the Tigers have made the wild card. Not only did they make the wild card, they swept the Astros on the road yesterday, which was Wednesday, and now play the Guardians in the ALDS, who they narrowly lost the season series with at a record of 6-7. I was gonna say before we get into the ALDS, Eddie, any chance you got some crow on that desk?
It's the tastiest crow I've ever had, my man. I don't mind. Hey, if you want me to get into it, I get into it. But if you're just asking me about that crow, I'll tell you what, it's extra crispy and I can't get enough.
I was really hoping you'd have like actual crow.
Yeah. If you guys get some crow, I'll eat literal crow. Crow great. Jerky. Let me see. You know what I'm saying? I bet it is. Hey man, I'm lapping it up. Feed me more. I'm like Ryback from the 2000s, baby. Feed me more.
Well, and the thing is, you kept to your word. Yeah, you said they weren't going to make the playoffs until the very end, which I get it. You didn't want to jinx them.
Of course. I mean, they're definitely not going to win the ALDS. There's no shot. Absolutely zero chance. They can't do it. There's no way.
And why can't they do
it? Well, look, that's just me just not jinxing the team. Okay?
Right.
All right. So, look, I obviously did not think they would make the playoffs. And I won't go back and say that I thought they would, because they definitely... What's that, Bill? You wanted to say something right there.
We have video evidence of that.
Yeah, well, it's obvious. And I don't go back on that at all. Dude, if you thought they were going to make the playoffs for sure when they were 55-63, 10 games back in August, then you have your head so far up your ass that you're scratching your esophagus with your eyeballs. Okay? Look, they didn't. Look, it's not. Look, okay. You might have, if you thought they were going to make it then you're kind of off in your own way, because it just doesn't happen. Okay. It just doesn't happen.
0.2%.
Yeah. Is that what it was? 0.2%?
It was less than 1%.
Yeah.
It was less than 1%. Yeah.
Well, because the team didn't even believe that they were going to make it. I mean, when you trade guys like Jack Flaherty, who at the time was a top 10 starting pitcher in the all of American League. If you thought you were going to make the playoffs, you keep that guy. I mean, since they traded him, he's been 5-2 with a 3.25 ERA, right? Now, granted, we got Trey Sweeney in that deal, who's been pretty good. It's not like he's a revelation. He's better than Javi Baez, which is all we really asked for all the way leading up. It's like, if you're going to sell us this plan to play the young guys and sit Javi's ass down because he sucks. Right? I don't think I said much different than that during that time.
Actually,
it's like,
you were right on when, after, what was it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the All-Star break, when we had talked about it, and you said to let the young guys play. And then they started to let the young guys play. And now here we are. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're going to sell it to us that that's the belief that these young guys are going to come up and do it, then let them do it and stop pretending Javi is going to do something because he's only bringing the club down. Not that he's the only piece, but let's be honest, they gave up too. Mark Canha hit 288 since he got traded. We don't have a guy that hits 288. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, Carson Kelly. He also he hit 308 after he left. If you're telling me that everybody was on board that they were going to make the ALDS at that time, then I'm going to tell you you're full of crap. Right. The numbers don't lie. I mean, you saw there's a big thing going around right now that their current playoff roster is an $18 million payroll. And that guy from the Astros makes the hater, the pitcher that ended up giving us that big inning to get to the ALDS, he makes 19 mil. I mean, they're trying to legitimately moneyball their way into this, which usually doesn't work out. But I will say, they are the fourth team. I don't know if you guys saw this, because I saw this earlier on ESPN. Fourth team in MLB history to win a playoff series after being 10 games plus back of a playoff spot with at least 110 games played. And they're the fourth team to ever win that. The 2011 Cards, the 69 Mets, the 64 Cards all did that. All those teams went on to win the World Series. So it's never impossible.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever said it was impossible. I
mean, you ridiculed somebody that said it. Anything's possible.
Well, anything is possible, but that's how rare it is.
I was like LeBron James over here, or Kevin Garnett over here. Anything's possible? You're like, no.
No, it wasn't. It shouldn't have been. It should not have been. And you got to credit that pitching. That's the thing.
100%.
They had all given up, which made me give up, except the players. The players didn't give up. AJ Hinch didn't give up. And that's a credit to what they've got going on. Look, you can't run 6 pitchers out likely in a 7-game series in game 2 or 3 and expect that to keep going well. It almost cost them. Look, I know we won 5-2 that game 2. You guys saw and were listening or watching.
Yeah.
It almost cost them. Ty Holton came out there hot. You can't give him a second inning. And then I was like, okay, maybe you're doing matchups, but then they brought in, I can't remember who, but he was the Astros had lefties coming up and we had a righty out there. It's like, and they got a couple of hits right out the get. So I'm like, I don't know if it worked out and they won. So who am I to say anything? Because obviously I've been completely wrong. But I don't know if the pitching has kept them in it all year. And Riley Green is probably the MVP of the team. I mean, now he didn't show out in that first round, I guess, really. But he kept that team afloat, I thought. He won the Triple Crown on the team.
Well, I mean, once he came back healthy, that's when they really started to kind of put things together. And when Javi went away,
for sure.
I mean, it's fairly the crazy thing. And I wanted to bring this up was, I don't know if you've noticed, but he hasn't been around.
Javi?
Yeah.
Oh, I noticed.
I know when they made the wild card, I noticed that. And I'm like, I had that in my notes for he wasn't in the picture that I saw. I looked for him.
Yeah, he's not in the playoff roster.
But I mean, he can't just be there. Is that not allowed?
You think, dude, Javi, I don't know. I don't know the guy, but I don't think he cares. I mean, I don't think he's cared enough since he's been in Detroit. I've been a downer on him since after his first year in Detroit. I don't see it. I know he had a good year, 1 year or 2 with Chicago. He cashed in and it felt like he checked out, at least for us. That's why I'm like, dude, we could bring in a guy that hits less than him and I think we're still a better team. Because I don't think he's not adding any real value, not even in the field anymore. So yeah, anyway, we could go over that guy. I'm just glad he's not there. I know Chris Ilitch, either way, he's saving money, which it must be the big thing. I mean, we can be like the A's from, Moneyball, and hopefully that might work out.
Yeah, I mean,
crazier things have happened.
Anything's possible.
Not as crazy. Not that many more crazier things in baseball have happened.
It's fair.
Dean, how you feeling?
Feel good about it, man. Eddie wasn't the only one. I was definitely not thinking they were going to make the playoffs for a good stretch of that. But to see them get hot like that in the middle of August, and it's been a wild run. It's been awesome to see them just kind of turn. Don't let the Tigers get hot, right? Like that guy's sign. But the only thing I really have on it is I actually saw this stat of that the Tigers are the first MLB team ever to make the playoffs in a 162 game season without having any players reach 150 plus hits, 75 RBIs, 25 home runs, and 25 stolen bases. They have nobody with any of those marks, and they're the first team ever to hit those marks. And I mean, the first, probably 3/4 of the season, that was pretty obvious that was going to be the case. But I mean, I don't know. I thought that was a super cool stat where, who knows? It kind of gives me like this team. I don't know, like, because they're such a young team. It kind of reminds me of like how the Lions finished the other year, where they were 1-6 and everybody was down on them. How much? What's the percentage of teams making the playoffs being 1-6? I mean, they still didn't make it, but to have that opportunity and just go off at the end of the year, I mean, it kind of gives you those kinds of vibes. And I don't want to say that the Tigers are next year, oh man, they're definitely going to win like 96 games next year, because you don't know. I mean, this could be a flash in the pan. This is just that ragtag group of guys that you just kind of put together, and they're just having fun and going out there, and you can see it. You know what I mean? Like they're just doing everything they can to win, and it's an awesome thing to see.
I agree. Are we going to skip over the fact that all of a sudden they just started hitting pretty well? Like not amazing, but like
they're hitting better.
Like hitting garbage cans better, or all I'm saying is like not one dude was hitting like 270.
Hinch is known for things like this.
He's a leader. Eddie, you brought it up. You brought it up in like July. You were like, "Hey, one thing we could do is start cheating."
Did they take Houston's World Series away?
I don't care if that's what they're doing now. I hope they are. I hope that's propelling. I don't care.
All my favorite teams are just a bunch of cheaters.
You're gonna find out Ben Johnson has the audio of the defensive signals or something.
He's on the sideline for the Monday Night Football game between the Chiefs and Ravens or some shit. Is that Ben Johnson?
No. That's Jen Bonson.
Jen Bonson, of course. But in all seriousness, it's been fun to watch. And they've become America's team, really. And then on top of that, they took out the Astros, who
people love that.
A lot of people don't like the Astros. So we'll see. I think they're going to play Cleveland pretty well. I don't know if they advance. I don't know how well they'll do against the Yankees.
Yankees got advanced too, man.
That's true.
Could it be an AL Central ALCS?
So the Royals ended up beating the Orioles, huh?
Yeah,
and I didn't see it.
Yeah, I think
AL Central toughest division in baseball, huh?
That's what they say.
I heard something today about how AJ Hinch should be manager of the year.
He should be. Yeah.
With I mean, if you look at like the Dodgers roster and then the Tigers roster, you know what I mean?
Well, on top of that, 3 teams in the Central.
Yeah.
I mean, check out the payrolls, man.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have, we saw it. You have to have a good strategy to win with that type of roster and the guys just coming around and hitting. I mean, you have to get lucky too. But I mean, yeah, I do think he should at least be considered for manager of the year.
Oh, I would imagine.
Yeah.
He's at least being considered.
Have to be.
He'd have to be.
He'd have to be. They go, what was it, 40-11 in the last whatever? Or 38 or whatever it was?
Yeah, it's like, something like that.
Just a crazy amount.
Just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, game 1 is Saturday against Cleveland. It's best of 5, right?
Yep.
I think for the
Yep.
LDS.
So we get 2 home games. Well, hopefully.
Yeah. So we will get back to them next week. The good times keep rolling in the state of Michigan as the Lions win on Monday Night Football against Seattle 42-29. Real quick, Geno Smith was 38 of 56 for 395 and a touchdown interception. Kenneth Walker had 12 carries for 80 yards and 3 touchdowns. DK Metcalf, 7 receptions, 104 yards, and a fumble. Jared Goff, Mr. Perfect, 18 of 18, 292 with 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs, 14 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jameson Williams, 2 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown. Fun game to watch. I thought they played a good all-around game. Goff looked great. And the Lions get the monkey off their back with Seattle. They're 3-1 going into the bye week. Dean, how are you feeling after Monday night?
I mean, great. You can't be upset after a Lions loss or a Lions loss. I could be pretty upset after a Lions loss. The Lions win. We had when Bill and I were on here last week. We were talking about the defense kind of being the focal point during the first 3 weeks of the season. Whereas this week, I mean, it was nice to see the offense turn up. Goff, played definitely way better than he has those first few games, maybe knocking some of that rust off. Maybe they're just starting to get into a groove right now. And that's huge. In football, it's a lot different than, like in baseball, where getting off to a hot start is usually a really good thing. So to be 3-1 at this point, it's awesome. It's good to see them actually, like, people put these expectations on them, and there's a lot of pressure on this team. I said last week, Sports Illustrated or Sports Center magazine or whatever it was picked them to win the Super Bowl. It's like, that's a lot of expectations for a team that, historically hasn't been very good. They're literally, it's just been like a year of them being like a decent team as far as everybody can see. And, to see them kind of just take that by the reins and just do what they do and not let it kind of get to them. It's been great. But my only takeaway from the game is that, really from the first 4 weeks, is just with Terry and Arnold. I think he's a good corner. He's always there, right? When the ball is in the air for the most part, he's just getting handsy. You know what I mean? He's got, they let you get away with a lot in college, right? And now it's a different league, but it doesn't seem like he's learning that. And I get it. They always say, take the penalty over a touchdown or 30 yards, and that's totally fine. But at the same time, he's grabbing the dude's hand. I know it's tough, but AG needs to figure out what to do to have him play a little bit more clean, because in reality, I don't even think they score 29 points if we didn't have all the penalties that ended up happening. So if they just kind of clean it up, I think moving forward, that defense will still be a pretty good unit, and the offense will be, solid as usual, hopefully. So I like where we're at right now, and we'll see where they go from here.
Yeah, no doubt. It was great to get a big win on Monday night against Seattle, because they've just had our number. Another interesting stat I saw on that was Gibbs and Monty were the first running back duo since 1976 to at least post 70 scrimmage yards apiece in first 4 games of the season. Only the third to do it ever. I liked what Carlton Davison was doing out there. Davis, he had 3 passes defense, 7 tackles. Even Hutch, who had a zeros line, I think he had like 10 QB pressures throughout the game.
He was there, yeah.
Yeah, he was there, and I think that was like the most this season or something. by any defensive end, and that's just another reason. I mean, he still needs help. You know, I think we've been saying it now for a year. I mean, they got to get pressure somewhere on the other side. I mean, Davenport's down for a while. Houston, this more every week is looking like a flash in the pan from that one year.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I mean, we didn't see it at the end of. I know he was hurt all last year, so it was like that playoffs games. It didn't happen, and then we're getting into this year, and it's still not happening. You only have a window to make it happen. So it's like, and the Lions, especially as a team, as a franchise, the window is what we got. Like, we don't know how big this window is, and we have never had it even opened. You know, I mean,
right.
So it's time to maybe make a move for Hassan Reddick. You know, maybe what does it take?
The Max Crosby rumor has been popping up again too, especially with them kind of selling right now too. I mean,
yeah, I mean, Devontae wants to roll. You know, that would be incredible, and that's probably the only other team Max Crosby would want to go to. So, I mean, that would be awesome. That's a dream of dreams, right? I mean,
that is a dream.
If you get Max Crosby, then you got to think like, okay, this is obviously Super Bowl or bust. I mean, because you have those two monsters. Anyway,
so weird to even hear that.
I've also, before you continue, I've heard the Lions being rumored as a sleeper team to trade for Devontae Adams as well.
Sure.
It would also be pretty sick. maybe.
I mean, yeah.
He could be
it depends what he wants to do. J-Mo's getting his thing done. I mean, they're not the same receiver, so they can work. Does Devontae, is he going to come in and be a great blocker? Because that's really what they need out of their receivers. That's such a big part of what they do. Or does he just want to go to New York and hang out with Aaron Rodgers and catch 10 passes a game and do his thing? I mean, he's not going to probably get 10 catches. He might get 10 targets with Detroit, but I mean, Amon-Ra gets himself open. Sam Laporta is starting to get himself more involved. You know, Jahmyr Gibbs catches Montgomery, big reception. You know, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling out there.
I was gonna say, if they, I mean, obvious. I know this is an obvious answer, but if you had the choice between Crosby and Devontae Adams, I'd take Max Crosby any day of the week.
They need Max Crosby way more than they need Devontae Adams. In fact, they might not even need Devontae Adams.
I don't think they do. I think they're fine with who they have. I think I think Patrick is coming around. He's a good third receiver.
Sure, he had a nice game.
I was gonna say he's probably the most underrated signing that they've made this year by far.
I mean,
he's been kind of big for them in the last couple of games.
No, I agree. And you had him, Eddie, you just listed everybody. I mean, you don't really need another receiver. Everyone that you named can catch the ball. You know, and they all run good routes. Laporta really is more of a receiver in the I mean, I say that, but I mean he does good things blocking too. I don't
even Brock Wright.
Yeah.
I think he's got more catches than Laporta right now on the season.
What would you give up for Max Crosby? A first?
You'd have to probably give him a first, at least one. They'd probably, if they didn't want to get rid of any players, it would have to. Obviously, it'd have to be a haul of picks. I don't really know what the Raiders would want in return other than picks, though. So, but I don't know if you want to give up. I don't know, because Holmes, he finds talent in the draft. In almost every round, it seems like, so maybe he'd be willing to give up 2 first-round picks or whatever for him. But I don't know.
I don't think it'd be that high. I don't think it'd be more than 1 first. I also think you could give up James Houston with, like, if you wanted to give up a first round in like a 5th round or whatever, whatever the case may be. James Houston could be fine in Vegas. You know what I mean? Or someone. I mean, I don't know really who else off the top of my head, but
I don't. Yeah, there's not a lot of guys I'd be
Pascal,
like if
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, like guys that they want to maybe could potentially take a look at, who has potential on a contract year,
Mhm.
but they would want. I agree with you. They're probably going to want picks because they're looking
Yeah.
towards the future.
I think it would take maybe not multiple first round picks, but I think it would take at least one first round and then probably a couple of high end like 2nd, 3rd round picks would be my guess. Because I mean he's considered like top 5 D end in the game right now, and that's a high value, and he's only like 28 or something like that. So it's like, and I don't know how many years he has as on his contract, but if he's got 2 or 3, then it's like, well, they're probably going to want high end stuff. And I don't unless they're really infatuated by the potential of James Houston, I don't think he's a big enough piece for them to like. You could throw him in with a couple of picks or whatever. I'm sure they'd take that just to replace him for the year. But I don't think that'd be like a premier piece for them. You know what I mean?
Dude, give them almost picks wise, give them what they want. Give them a couple developmental guys. That's what it's the window.
Mm-hmm.
You can
You guys like Tom
squeeze
Kelly?
him in there. Yeah, I was going to say Tom Kennedy. I was
Kennedy,
almost
yeah.
made a joke about that while we were talking
You
about
interested?
it.
You like that
I'm like,
potential?
look, we'll even throw in Kennedy and Craig Reynolds if you need it.
If
All right?
you need it.
If you need it.
Really, really tying our hands behind our back, but we'll give them to you.
But that's it. I mean, you give them if you really you get a guy like Max Crosby, you do feel like it's like the Niners getting Chase Young.
Right.
You feel like this is it. And you make a move. And the Lions are at that stage right now.
Yeah. And I don't even think it has to be Max Crosby. It just has to be a like a top 15.
You said Hassan Reddick you could probably get Hassan Reddick for a 2nd or a 3rd. Maybe a player. And you just have to sign the extension.
Right.
That's the piece. Right. So they got to figure it out. I mean, Sheila, what money are we working with here? I mean,
you're right. No kidding.
His contract, his last year is 2026. So he's got 2 years after this year. So
what's he getting per? Does it say?
It was
16.
Like, no, it was more than that.
20.
24.
24
24 and a half this year. Well, no, the cap number is 30. 2025 it goes down to 28. 2026 24 million. 24.8 million. And he's only 27. So in 2026 he'll be 29.
Gonna have to pay. I think Hutch is getting paid after this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So things are starting.
Eventually, some of these guys are gonna have to go.
Yeah.
And I think at one point we talked about Kirby Joseph kind of being that guy that they would probably end up having to let go. You know what I mean? Once his contract came up, but now it's kind of looking like, man, like that's a tough piece to let go. He's been really, really good this year.
He's been a ball hawk.
Yeah, he has. And so now it's starting to look like who do you start to like? I think once Anzalone's contract is up, I think you got to kind of let him go too. But then again, I don't know. He's been our best linebacker for 3 years, so I don't know if you're willing to give that up. But I don't know. It's going to come down to it. But Brad will find something. I'm sure of it.
The chickens are coming home to roost, Bobby Boucher.
No doubt.
I mean, it's I mean, at some point, it's like, and Brad is all about securing the future as far as like financials go.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but they need someone opposite of Aiden.
Yeah.
So
No question.
100%.
they're off this week, so we will keep the good times rolling again with some more teams from Michigan that won over the weekend. Michigan squeaks out a win against Minnesota 27-24 in a game that was looking really good for Michigan in the first half, and then things just started falling apart in the second half. I don't know what to think. I can't believe they moved up in the rankings to number 10 after that.
They won.
We'll see this weekend when they go to Washington and they're not at home. Again, I think it's all the chickens are coming home to roost, Bobby Boucher, and I think we're really going to find out this weekend, being away from Ann Arbor, third week with Alex Orji. We'll see, but not a great first half. Like I said, great first half, not a great second half. So, I don't know if you guys probably didn't even watch that game, but
I watched a part of it. It just kind of felt like, because they were up, what was it, like 24-3 at halftime or something like that?
21-3, yeah.
21-3.
They ended up being up 24-3.
Right.
At one point.
So I think it just kind of came to a point where all the guys just kind of got overconfident, and then Minnesota's, getting more and more fired up every time they score or gain yards or whatever, anything. And I just think they kind of just went lackadaisical there at the end, especially on defense. Obviously, on defense and offense, they only scored 7 points in the second half, or 6 points. So I mean, I feel like they just kind of thought they had it in the bag, and then once it came down to it, it really did come down to it. It was nice to see Orji kind of throw a few more passes, but I mean, they definitely are a run first team.
I mean, they were a sketchy penalty away from losing that game.
Yes. Very. And that onside kick.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Man, the offside. I was like, offside? It was like literally like a toe.
That's a tough one to call right then, man.
I didn't know it was soccer, bro. Nose past
I know.
That could have changed everything. But hey, name of the game, they won. So
they won.
They got they had a second try at it.
Yeah. Yeah, but usually that second time goes the first.
Usually, if you're lucky, you get 1 in 20, right? I mean,
right? Oh man,
Eastern beats Kent State 52-33 in a game where it was pretty much out of reach by the end of the half. I mean, I guess not. It was 21-14, but
reach is 21.
Well,
out of reach.
It was out of reach.
No way they could score.
It was out of reach.
No shot.
Yeah, and the fact that it was tied 14-14, and then they scored a touchdown 2 minutes.
I think they're eating the cats and the dogs.
Eastern improves to 4-1. Kent State is 0-5. Cole Snyder was 26-33 for 213 and touchdown. Delbert Mims 23 carries, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns. Where is I at? Oh, here we are. Central, another win for the state of Michigan. Last second field goal to beat San Diego State. A walk-off, 22-21, in a game where they should have lost more than where they Joey threw a not great ball, got it intercepted, and then
Labus.
come and find out it's Labus, just so you know.
Labus.
I learned that
Menorah.
last week.
Like Lamus.
Labus Menorah.
24 of 43, 275, and a touchdown with an interception. Marion Luke, 16 carries, 76 yards. Gavin Harris, 2 receptions, 66 yards. Fellas, any thoughts on the Chippewas improving to 3-2?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I'm glad to see that they're pulling out some wins when they need them, and I mean, hopefully they're. All I was really expecting from them this year is just to be a little bit better than they were last year, and to hit my prediction. So they're on track.
Take it easy.
They're on track.
Take it easy. No, I mean, obviously happy to see the Chips win, man. I mean, ugly. It was dirty. Labus, yeah, that ball was gross, but they won.
They'll be at Auburn next
And
year.
Probably. Oh, certainly. It's a guaranteed. It's as guaranteed as the Tigers winning the World Series next year too.
Next year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they're gonna repeat.
Oh hell yeah.
You don't believe? No, it's just good to see them win, man. I mean, because after they had gotten freaking smacked by FIU, it felt like it was not gonna work out at all this year. And just to see them come through with some gritty wins like that is nice to see. I mean, SDSU isn't a great program, but they're not bad either. So,
right,
we'll take it.
All right. Well, let's get to the losers of the week. Western gets beat by Marshall 27-20. In a game that was pretty close.
Yeah.
It was tied up 2020 with just about 12 minutes to go. Hayden Wolf was 15-29 for 126 yards and a touchdown. Jaden Nixon, 23 carries, 146 yards and a touchdown. Anthony Sambucci, 4 receptions, 56 yards. Western's now 1-3. I can feel the sadness on your face, Ed.
I mean, it is sad that they're getting exactly what they deserve. They suck, dude. How are you going to throw it 29 times and only get 120 yards? It's garbage, dude. Go somewhere else, Hayden.
Ohio State beats Michigan State 38-7.
Ouch.
In a game where I texted you guys and said Childs is frustrating to watch, but he's 19, Dean.
He just turned 19.
Just turned, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
19.
Let
A
the
year
boy
older,
play.
a year wiser. Aiden Childs was 13 of 19 for 167, a touchdown and interception. Lynch Adams, 9 carries, 35 yards. Glover, 4 receptions, 53 yards and a touchdown. Will Howard for the Buckeyes was 21-31, 244, 2 touchdowns, interception. Travion Henderson, 7 carries, 69 yards. Emeka Egbuka, 7 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Rebuilding year. I mean, it is what it is, right? Yeah. They didn't get completely blown out.
No, I mean, other than a few dumb penalties, honestly, in that first half, I mean, the defense was playing really good. And then I can't remember what exactly happened, but there was a penalty that just kind of just killed all momentum. And it happened a couple of times. And it changed the course of the game for them. And I mean, I don't think they were going to win, but I don't think it would have been 38-7. I think it might have been 38-14 instead. So, no, I mean, they went up against a better team. I mean, Ohio State is, for all, they're the team in the Big Ten Conference right now. as much as I would hate to say it. But I mean, they're the top dog right now, and Michigan State is not there yet. You know, their quarterback is only 19 years old. You know,
I mean,
so
geez, cut the kid a break.
you know, cut.
And then
There's
right?
never
Now-
been a good 19-year-old quarterback in college football. So
Never. I mean, Archie Manning's pretty good, but I think he's 20. He's 20.
he's probably 24.
he has the face of a 32-year-old.
He does, doesn't he?
He's pretty good though.
No, I mean, I'm with you, Dean. I mean, yeah, the first half and second half were completely different stories. I mean, the first half, I mean, just look at the first 4 drives for Michigan State. Their first drive went 7 plays, 55 yards, and then they turned it over on 4th down, nearly in the red zone. The next drive, they went 5 plays, 64 yards, then fumbled. And then after the pick, they got the touchdown on a 1-play, 12-yard drive. And then the next drive after that, they went 9 plays, 59 yards, and then fumbled again.
That's what it was.
With 3 minutes and 11 seconds left in the half, being down 17-7. Like, they drove down the field 3 of those drives and came away with 0 points, with a couple turnovers. I mean, you can't do that against most teams, let alone a team like Ohio State, who's loaded. And I think Ohio State got the ball back with 3 minutes left. They ran down and scored before the half was over. And that was it. I mean, that was just it. And Ohio State ended up scoring 2 more touchdowns in the second half, so it wasn't like crazy. But the turnovers and Bill, yeah, Childs is incredibly frustrating to watch. And watching the game, watching him this season, I think his ceiling is Washington Michael Penix. And then I looked it up, and I feel like he's like Indiana Michael Penix right now. And just for reference, I mean, they're both 6'3". Penix weighed 218. Childs is 217. Penix played 5 games his last year at Indiana, where he threw 4 touchdowns and 7 picks. Childs is right now 5 touchdowns and 8 picks through 5 games. You know, for some reason, they were comparable in my mind. I do feel like he can be as good as Penix was at Washington, and I do think it may not end up being at Michigan State when it's all said and done. I mean, who knows what happens? But the skill sets are very familiar to me, especially I remember watching Penix when he was in Indiana. Now, he didn't throw as many picks in his first year at Indiana as a starter, but I distinctly recall him just being a gamer kind of guy with the talent all around, the arm, the legs, I mean, and similar frames. So I think it was just easy to compare. And then I saw that his last year at Indiana, he was, 4 touchdowns, 7 picks, and Childs right now is 5 touchdowns, 8 picks. And so it just, I guess that holds up for me right now. Yeah, it is. And I just hope, I would hope Childs can end up being that. I don't think he's going to be greater than that. But right now it's frustrating. He's going through his growing pains. I mean, damn it, he's only 19 years old.
Damn it. Give a kid a break.
He's a child, for crying out
He's
loud.
a child.
Childs.
Let's see, he's a child. Chili's.
No, it's frustrating. They should have had a closer first half. Just dumb mistakes when you have 50, 60 new players on your squad from year to year. It's going to be tough to play Ohio State and potentially keep it close without having something dumb happen. Ohio State's got NFL players on the field. Egbuka, you see some of those catches were
that
ridiculous.
Jeremiah Smith guy
Dude.
or whatever, true freshman or whatever.
I mean, come on.
That kid's sweet. That one-handed grab he had.
We don't got a guy that can cover that guy.
No,
Not right now.
And he's only 18 years old.
Side note, speaking of Indiana,
how's he doing? He's only
no growing pains for that guy, I guess.
What's that supposed to happen?
This is growing pains for us. That's cool.
But he's an 18-year-old starter.
Speaking of Indiana, real quick, they're 5-0.
Yeah.
But have you seen who they played? Like everyone's
Top
like, oh,
teams.
Indiana's 5-0. Indiana's 5-0. They played Maryland. They played Charlotte. They played Western Illinois. They played FIU. And they played UCLA.
Smoke CMU. UCLA sucks. Maryland's the best team by far.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty close game. Up until, I mean, Indiana pulled away by what, 2 touchdowns? 3? 2 touchdowns?
2 touchdowns, yeah.
Yeah.
42-28.
So it wasn't like crazy. Yeah, Indiana better. At least right now.
Yeah, they're better. I mean,
Rutgers
like,
is looking pretty decent too. That's why I'm like, dude, I can't believe Washington's favored to beat Michigan right now. I know it's Washington, but like they just lost to Rutgers. I know Rutgers is better this year, but like,
right.
To say
Well,
that.
let's go over predictions for this week. First, we'll go with MSU at Oregon. Well, let's go with Michigan at Washington. Washington's 1.5 point favorite at home. Over under is 41.5. I'm gonna say
1.5. You said.
I'm gonna say Michigan.
Washington's 1.5 favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take Michigan too. I don't think Washington. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of their games. I don't even know their record.
It's
So
tough
I'm
not
just
to
gonna
take Michigan. Yeah, it's tough not to take Michigan in this one. I mean,
3-2.
It wouldn't surprise me to see Michigan lose. It would. Yeah, I guess it would. It would surprise me to see Michigan lose, but it surprises me more that Washington would win, if that makes sense, than Michigan losing.
It's fair.
Their 3 wins are against Weber State, 35-3, Eastern Michigan, 30-9, and Northwestern, 24-5.
Exactly. They just don't. Yeah, their favorite should be enough to juice up Michigan. It should be, right? I mean,
Should be.
Wouldn't that piss you off? I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
right. Yeah. Western Michigan at Ball State. Ball State is a 9-point underdog at home. Over under is 56.5. I will take Ball State
to win money line.
No, I'll take the points
for them to cover.
Yeah,
I think Ball State's going to win. Taking Ball State.
I'll take Ball State to cover. I don't know who's going to win that trash game. Dude, it's a garbage
it is. I mean, it's
game,
1-3 against 1-3. So. And then MSU at Oregon. Oregon is a 23.5 point favorite. Over under is 52.5. I'm going to take MSU.
To win? Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Way to go bold.
You know you're taking them to cover. Huh? Yeah, I don't think it's tough to. I mean, I think Michigan State will cover it just because that defense is good enough. But if they make the same mistakes, it's going to be the same thing as against Ohio State. So I think if they play cleaner football, at Michigan State should at least cover it.
Yeah, Oregon's covering it.
Man, that's a good chance that that'll happen.
There's a really good chance. Dylan Gabriel's been playing. He's been balling out pretty good. Mostly mistake free. They got weapons.
Yeah.
I mean
Oregon,
if State can get something going, like you said, dude, if they don't turn it over and they're moving, sure. But I don't trust it right now.
No. If they can go in with that same mindset in that first half against Ohio State, then it'll be a pretty good game, I think, at least through the first half. But turnovers and who knows what Oregon will do when they're out there, so we'll see.
I mean, here's the thing. You watch them play, and if you really watch, I mean, you're like, they could compete.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't think they're 38-7 worse than Ohio State. I think they're at least 2 touchdowns worse. Mm-hmm. But I don't know who's better between Ohio State and Oregon. So I don't know. Like, it wouldn't be the craziest thing for them to upset Oregon. I can't imagine that's going to happen.
Right.
It'd
Be awesome.
be awesome.
Be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we shall see. And that is going to do it for this week's episode of the BD Sports Talk Podcast. We appreciate everyone listening, all 12 of you from last week. We did not get to the 20 comments, so no one gets $20. We were close. We were 20 off. Throwing out the challenge again. If it gets up to 10 comments, we'll give away a $10 gift card. I don't know. Something. $10.
One of you sad sacks.
All right, there's 12 views.
I'm gonna comment. Trying to win this.
But then my
speaking
Venmo.
speaking of which, real quick, I know this is what everyone's been waiting to hear.
Which means
I think we're going to live stream episodes coming soon, if not next week. I think it'll just be easier for everybody involved. And we'll get to talk about things as it happens. So
I'm
just gonna maybe. We'll see. Maybe we'll do it Tuesday. Maybe we'll do it Monday. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, a real quick prediction, just offside. Next Lions game is against the Cowboys. Do they get screwed? Not if they win or lose. Do they get screwed somehow?
Probably. It's in Dallas. And I don't even think it matters if it's in Dallas, to be honest.
It's always in Dallas.
Cowboys. Not
You can
because-
only
not when
play
they-
in Dallas.
Yeah.
Not when during that playoffs when they played them. That was in Detroit.
Well, that was a
wasn't
long time ago, Dino.
A long time
Now,
ago,
Jerry Jones ain't bringing his boots up to Detroit now.
I mean, and it's the playoffs, so you have to go.
Yeah, they have no choice.
But if the NFL had its way, they would have been in Dallas.
Well, I was saying that they still got screwed in Detroit. That's why I was like, well, it's in Dallas. Then I was like, well, wait, they got screwed in Detroit too, and they played them. So I guess it doesn't matter where they play them. They're just going to get probably yes. That's a yes to your question, Ed. Yeah, something's going to happen.
Dean's guaranteeing a screw job.
Be a hands to the face on a 4th and 4. They're down. They're up 3 points or 2 points, and then they kick a field goal to win or something like that.
They're 2-2 right now. They need a win, so
Uh-oh.
But they do. Well, they just lost to somebody. Can't remember.
well, they just won last week.
But before
The
that,
2 before that, yeah.
Before
And they lose
they
to
lost to
Washington or
2
something like
before that.
They lost to the Ravens and the Saints. They got blown out.
That's
by the
right. It
Saints.
was the Saints. They got blown up by the Saints. That's right.
Yep. Close to a month.
Bill,
ago.
are they getting screwed?
The Lions?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, at some point there's going to be something. God forbid they can't hear Skipper say he's an eligible receiver.
They'll probably call Brock Wright ineligible.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so we can talk about that next week on our live stream, and we'll give away that gift card to that 10th comment.
Dude, I'm waiting for 9, and I'm just putting that comment.
So
I need
all
that
right,
money.
well, if you like today's episode, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you everyone for watching. We hope you have a good week. Enjoy the games this weekend. Go Tigers. Oh, Red Wings. I think the Red Wings open up this week too. This week or next week.
They've been hitting that preseason.
Yeah. At one point they had 2 games at the same time. Crazy. Anyways, Thanks for
Well,
watching.
it's October in the D.
That's right.
BD Sports Talk Podcast.
Sports Talk.